Once upon a time, in a vibrant town, lived a young woman named Maya, who seemed like a naive girl. But Maya held a secret. She was the heir to a hidden fortune left by her parents. Engaged to Kofi, she hoped for acceptance in his wealthy family. However, she quickly became their unpaid maid, underestimated and belittled. As weeks passed, Maya felt the weight of their superficiality crushing her spirit. But one fateful day, she caught Kofi in a compromising situation with another woman. This betrayal ignited a fire within her. It was time to reclaim her story. She gathered evidence of their deceit and plotted her revenge. Finally, she revealed her true identity and exposed the Mensah's lies. With justice served, Maya stepped into her new life, free and empowered. Once upon a time, in a vibrant town nestled between lush hills and flowing rivers, there lived a young woman named Maya. She was often seen as the naive girl, someone others thought they could manipulate and control. But Maya was much more than that. She was a woman of resilience who had silently endured the trials of her life. Now it was her turn to teach them a lesson they would never forget. Maya had lived a simple life, shaped by the profound loss of her parents at a young age. Before they passed away, her parents left her a significant fortune, an inheritance that remained a closely guarded secret. Maya, a young woman of 25, believed that her wealth was a test of character, meant to reveal true worth beyond riches. Her life changed dramatically when she became engaged to Kofi, a charming man who filled her heart with hope and dreams of love. As she moved in with Kofi and his family, Maya envisioned a life full of acceptance and happiness, something she had longed for. Unbeknownst to her, she was stepping into a storm. Kofi's parents, Mr. and Mrs. Mensah, and his sister Abena, valued social status above all else. To the Mensah family, Maya was merely an ordinary girl lacking the pedigree they cherished. Maya stood in the opulent foyer of the Mensah's home, feeling the weight of their dismissive gazes. They saw her as nothing more than a naive girl, unaware of the wealth her parents had left her. On her first evening there, Mrs. Mensah scrutinized Maya with a disdainful smile, as if evaluating her worth. Mrs. Mensah remarked, "So you are the girl Kofi can't stop talking about. I expected someone more refined." Maya chose silence over confrontation, aware of the condescension dripping from Mrs. Mensah's words. Kofi, busy with his work at a prominent tech company, remained oblivious to the snide remarks from his family. Maya, feeling isolated, navigates the choppy waters of superficiality in her household. As days turned into weeks, Maya becomes the unpaid maid, her hands accustomed to scrubbing floors and cleaning messes. Despite her circumstances, Maya resolves not to let her wealth dictate how others treat her. One day, while scrubbing the kitchen floor, Mr. Mensah walks in with a frown. Mr. Mensah, a stern man in his late 40s, searches for his expensive cufflinks while barking orders at Maya. Maya, a young woman in her early 20s, responds to Mr. Mensah with a polite tone, hiding her irritation beneath her composed exterior. As time passes, the Mensah family continues to belittle Maya, highlighting her humble background and lack of sophistication. Despite their ridicule, Maya nurtures a secret rebellion against the shallow values of the Mensah family. Maya, a young girl in her late teens, faced the challenge of organizing a grand dinner party hosted by Mr. Mensah. Mr. Mensah, with a mocking tone, instructed her to help with the arrangements, cautioning her about her social skills. As guests arrived in their finest attire, Maya hurried around, ensuring everything was perfect for the evening. Mrs. Mensah, surprised by Maya's efforts, complimented her on the arrangements, hinting at her newfound competence. Despite the compliments, Maya felt like an outsider, standing alone in a corner while laughter and chatter filled the air. Kofi was right at home, charming the guests as he spoke of his latest projects at the firm. His success was undeniable, but his family's affection felt conditional, hinging solely on his professional triumphs. Stepping outside for a breath of fresh air, Maya overheard snippets of conversation that pierced through her like daggers. "Kofi's choice in women is unexpected. She's quite plain, isn't she?" one guest remarked. You don't see the bigger picture, Mrs. Mensah responded. Maya's simplicity, her naivety, is all part of the plan. Maya overhears a conversation about Kofi's rising career. Feeling the weight of their words that she was merely a pawn in their game of social climbing. As the night grew colder, Maya realizes that her silence had only shielded her for so long. It was time to drop the facade. Returning inside, she finds Kofi still busy entertaining the guests. Unaware of her internal struggle, Maya wanted to shake him awake, to open his eyes to the reality of his family's intentions. But deep down, she understood he was caught in the same web of pretenses. As the evening reached its conclusion, Maya felt the end of her journey with the Mensah family drawing near. They may have perceived her as a naive girl they could easily control, but she had a different plan, a plan to unveil the truth and free herself from the chains of their deception. That night, as polite goodbyes were exchanged and congratulations echoed through the halls, Maya lay awake in bed, the moon casting shadows across the room. Kofi, a young man in his early 20s, slept peacefully beside Maya, oblivious to the turmoil stirring within her heart. Maya, feeling a mix of anxiety and determination, recognized that their story was far from over. She sensed that the dynamics of their relationship would soon shift. Weeks passed, and one fateful afternoon, Maya returned home early, her heart racing with excitement as she hoped to surprise Kofi. As she drew closer to the house, laughter drifted through the air, an unexpected sound in the usually quiet Mensah household. Maya's heart pounded as she approached the slightly ajar door, a sense of dread building within her. What she saw twisted a knife in her heart. Kofi, her boyfriend, was laughing with a woman she had never seen before. Behind them, his parents watched, their expressions not of shock, but of approval, deepening Maya's sense of betrayal. Betrayal ignited a cold fire within her as she struggled to process the scene before her. "Maya!" Kofi exclaimed, guilt written all over his face as he finally noticed her. Maya, filled with disbelief, confronted Mrs. Mensah about her true intentions. "Oh, this isn't what it looks like," he said, but his voice held no truth. Maya shot back, questioning the authenticity of the situation. "So, this is the real plan, huh? Marrying your son off to someone who fits your grand design?" Mrs. Mensah, trying to maintain her authority, interjected calmly, "Dear, you must understand this is for the best. For Kofi, for the family." Attempting to regain her composure. With a hint of frustration, she continued, "Honestly, Maya, you should be grateful." Hoping to sway Maya's perspective, the woman spoke coldly, stating, "Kofi needs someone of his standard. You were just a stepping stone." Her eyes betraying no hint of regret. Maya, feeling a surge of strength, repeated the term, "stepping stone," with a newfound resolve in her voice. "Kofi, let's be realistic, you and we were never going to work. You don't fit into my world," the woman concluded, her tone final. With that, Maya turned on her heel and left the house, her footsteps echoing as their faint concerns fell on deaf ears. Maya, a resilient woman, watched as the life she had built and the love she believed in crumbled to dust. Yet, from the ashes rose a new determination within her. In the days that followed, Maya moved like a shadow, gathering every piece of evidence of Kofi's infidelity and the Mensah's deceitful financial schemes. Bank statements, incriminating emails, photographs. She compiled them all, an arsenal of truths to counter their lies. Kofi remained oblivious to the storm brewing on the horizon. Now was the time for action. A plan began to form in Maya's mind. A plan to expose their true faces and strip them of their pretenses, revealing the ugliness beneath. Sitting at her desk, the evidence laid out before her, Maya felt like a chess player preparing for her next move. The Mensahs had played their games well, but they had underestimated their opponent. Maya, a determined woman, picks up the phone and dials a long-hidden number, signaling the end of her silent endurance. With this call, she asserts her strength, no longer the naive girl they believed they could manipulate. Now, it was Maya's turn to teach them a lesson they would never forget. The following morning, the sun peeked through the curtains, casting a golden hue on what would be the last day in the Mensah household. As Maya packed her belongings, a sense of liberation filled the air. Today, she would shed the skin of the oppressed and rise as the avenger of her own story. Maya descended the grand staircase, each step echoing the resolve in her heart. The Mensah family gathered in the living room for their morning tea, looking up in surprise as she entered. "Maya, what's this all about?" Mrs. Mensah inquired, feigning innocence. Maya stood tall, her voice steady and clear. Maya, a determined young woman, stands tall as she declares her true identity, revealing herself as the heir to a vast fortune. The atmosphere shifts dramatically as the people around her process the shocking revelation, their faces reflecting disbelief and surprise. Maya, a determined young woman, declares her decision to leave the family, revealing her frustration with their deceitful ways. Kofi, a charming man in his late 20s, faces the fallout of his lies as his latest girlfriend reacts with shock and anger. Without another word, Maya stormed out, leaving a flabbergasted Kofi behind. But that wasn't all. Over the past few weeks, Maya had meticulously gathered evidence of the Mensah's illicit financial dealings. Each document she compiled was a testament to their betrayals, and it was time to unveil it all. After her dramatic exit, she made an anonymous call to the authorities, providing them with the evidence that would serve as the final nail in the coffin of the Mensah's pretentious life. News of their downfall spread like wildfire. Social humiliation was swift and unforgiving. The elite circles they once dominated turned their backs, leaving them to wallow in their newfound infamy. But social ostracization was the least of their worries. The authorities, armed with the evidence, launched a full-scale investigation into their financial misdeeds. The once proud Mensah name became synonymous with fraud and deceit. Maya, a resilient young woman, sat in her new apartment, reflecting on her newfound freedom from the oppression she had endured. As she observed the crumbling empire of her former oppressors, she felt no joy in their suffering. Instead, a deep sense of justice washed over her. The family that had once looked down upon her was now facing the consequences of their deceitful actions. Their world, meticulously built on lies and manipulations, had unraveled completely, leaving them exposed and vulnerable. Maya had not only escaped their clutches, but had turned the tables on them. She had taken control of her narrative and, in doing so, had written their downfall. The chapter of her life with the Mensahs had closed, but her story was far from over. Thank you for joining this journey. If you enjoyed this story, please don't forget to like and subscribe for more tales of transformation and resilience. Until we meet again in our next story, goodbye.